How could we have lost? We disputed all of his scores. We have accused him of bribery, and yet Trifarce still walks. How could this have happened? First the FGC, then Twin Galaxy, then we try to humiliate him publicly. We even had Meme Troll resurrect the eviscerated one. How could we have lost again and again? And now he's in the Guinness Book of World Records for that stupid Mario game. I don't understand. I just don't understand. How hard is it to take down one man? He's just a fucking nerd. Knock him out the box black. Knock him out black. Knock him out the box black. Knock him out black. Knock him out the box black. Knock him out black. Knock him out the box black. Knock him out black. Knock him out black. Knock him out black.
Yes, I was muted. Sorry about that. Just to remind you guys, welcome to the beginning of the end. We're gonna be what happened? No, you're like going to the Discord. You don't need to be on the actual YouTube, honey, because you're here with me live. Just go in the Discord. Let me unmute the Discord now. Oh, there's so much to talk about. JP got the screenshot. Yes. Sorry about that, guys.
Why did you start it so early? You had to wait for the room to get flooded. Like, look, we have 45 viewers now.
We
had 26.
We can replay it later.
Well, first of all, that was just the intro. That was to give people time to come in here. That was trolling foolishness. That's not what this video is about. This video is about how the conspirators, whose job is to rewrite history and topple some of the classic gaming community's greatest figures and all this other blah 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 blah. The job is to expose them, and that's what this video is about. This video is about analyzing and breaking down. Let me unmute that. Wait, oops, okay, yeah, Discord wasn't muted. This video is about analyzing and breaking down the actual conspiracy behind it all. I'm going to preface before we start, because we're going to be here for a while. Like Birdman rubbing his hands like this. We're going to be here for a while. I need everyone to understand that what is going to be discussed in this analytical video breakdown is the tip of the iceberg. Some of the things in this video that's being shown is partial evidence to the tip of the iceberg. I gotta explain this to you guys so that you guys can understand this. So you have the tip of the iceberg. The information in this analytical breakdown, in where they're exposing this Discord with the agenda to destroy me. What you find in this analytical breakdown video is simply a portion of the tip. I have not even put out my point of view yet, which that will be saved for another day. And when that comes out, that's the other half of the tip. And then when that is done, then later on you will see the whole iceberg and how that plays out. So keep in mind the exposing that you will see in this video, don't go, oh my god, that was so much. It's just the tip.
That's what you did.
Oh, that's what she said. Okay, now let's go. Let us close this. Let us open up. This is just this right here.
EMP Zura MX said he is just a fucking nay.
What? Okay, all right.
I'm here.
I'm glad that you're here. All mods are on deck now. You guys know that our channel is a content creation channel. And I want to lay down some rules first because you know how people are. In our community, on our channel, we allow everybody to voice their opinion. Whether their opinions may be racist towards African people, such as myself, I allow people to voice their opinion. Here, we only remove people who become a distraction towards the purpose of our content that we're trying to put out for people. So, racist people, haters, colonizers, demon worshippers, and all of the alike, you are welcome here. It's one of the few platforms where we allow you to say your piece. Not that it matters, but we allow it here. So, moderators, I need you all not to be banning people. Besides, YouTube needs to nor timeout. YouTube needs to see what goes on in reality. The reality of the world, especially in gaming, and how Africans such as myself have been dealing with it for all my time in gaming. But you know, can't say anything about it because then it's Triforce race baiting or he's pulling the race card. But as one of my friends said here on the Discord in one of the comments to that stupid statement is, how can Triforce be pulling a race card to people being racist to him? America, let us begin.
America.
Land of the free.
So we are starting here.
Just responded to that too, Triforce.
I know.
Let me go read it.
What is up, guys?
Everybody, hold on. Tips is talking. Let's see what Tips has to say
now.
now.
You guys know I've been covering the Twin Galaxies cheating scandals a lot. The most recent person to kind of be in the spotlight has been Isaiah Triforce Johnson, and one of the biggest things that happened recently is that there was a dispute against him for his Contra 3 score. In fact, if we take a quick look at that right here, we could see this is the actual dispute thread that took place. This was for his Contra 3 Alien Wars score on the Super Nintendo, with a max out score of 9,999,999. It goes on to state that the rules for this game is that you must play on normal difficulty with no continues or codes permitted. Special rules include excessive leeching will result in the score being disqualified. So you can leech, but you cannot excessively leech. And if we look at the dispute itself to see what exactly he was being accused of, it says the score was already discussed on the old TG. I'm just moving the argument discussion to a centralized location. Note that the old discussion was around whether 5 million is possible without leeching, and that the score doubles that. So essentially what they're accusing him of is leeching, even though the score does say you can leech, just not excessively. So there was a lot of debate as to whether or not this dispute was even legitimately. Personally, if you ask me, I don't think so, because it kind of makes its dispute, but it doesn't give any evidence to back said dispute. And that's like the biggest problem with this whole thing, was that there wasn't any evidence. Now, during the course of covering this thing, in fact, if you look at my interview with Triforce, there was a discussion that kind of came out regarding a Discord server that was essentially out there that was used to plot against Triforce and several.
I want to pause there for a second. I actually have to pause there for a second. Now, Tipster doesn't state any of this, but something actually happened in the beginning of this video, which is wild. So in this dispute, I don't know if anyone has caught up to this dispute, regarding my score. There was an actual verdict on this dispute, and the verdicts, I'm paraphrasing, but it says there is insufficient evidence to support this dispute being valid, meaning this is an invalid dispute. So why is the dispute still open? But that's not important. Just wanted to point that out. So let's get back to what Tipster has to say.
Other players that these people believe have cheated in Twin Galaxies, and during that interview, the person who actually exposed the Discord sort of came forward in chat and revealed a little bit of what he knew. I've been in conversation with this person, and they said that they were going to do a full write-up on their Twin Galaxies page, kind of like a blog post, discussing everything they thought about the Discord, as well as a few other things related to the dispute, and they have done just that. If we go here, we could see this massive write-up here. Like, this thing is very detailed. It details the whole dispute process, as well as things that involve the Discord server and people that were in it. Now, there is a lot of stuff to go over here, and as you can see, I highlighted some of the important points. So rather than doing like a fully fleshed out video, I thought the best thing to do would probably just read the highlighted points, because the things I want to focus on are related to the Discord server itself, as well as the people who are involved in said Discord, their participation in the actual dispute. But there's a lot of stuff that is covered here, so if you guys want to see the rest of it, I'll leave a link in the description down below so you can read it. But the main thing I want to focus on is the Discord stuff and those involved in the Discord. I decided that rather than do a full fleshed out video, I'll just kind of read this and react to the specific points that I've highlighted as we go along. So that's exactly what I'm going to do here. This video will be mostly unedited, maybe just a few cuts for brevity or whatever. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to take a look at this really quickly. This is the Contra 3 dispute, a post-mortem by Airsats Cats. This is the person who leaked the information about that server. So let's go ahead and let's get into this. He says, I have some things to say about the recently resolved dispute of Isaiah Triforce Johnson's score on Contra 3. Some of this will be a recap of what has been said.
Notice what Airsats Cat said. He literally says, I have things to say about the recently resolved dispute of Isaiah Triforce Johnson's score on Contra. But what Airsats Cat does not understand is that the dispute is not resolved. They did not say insufficient evidence. There's insufficient evidence on this game. This dispute is invalid. Close the dispute and move forward. That's resolution. The dispute is still open. They stated that there's insufficient evidence. That's like going to court and they said you're on trial. Someone says you murdered someone. They have no evidence, and then the judge goes, insufficient evidence. So that's it. You have insufficient evidence, but the judge doesn't go court adjourned. They're just letting the prosecutor know that it's insufficient evidence. So even though they have no evidence against you, you're still stuck in court. Meaning the court is waiting for them to come up with evidence for you. And you cannot adjourn from the court until when the judge decides or if they eventually find evidence. So you're literally stuck in court. So nothing against Airsats Cat. I just wanted to point that out, that there is no resolution to the Contra 3 thread. It's still open. So until they said this resolves the case against the dispute against Triforce on the Contra 3 and close the dispute, it's still open. It's important for me to mention that to people. People need to know these things. So just let you know, Twin Galaxies still has a case open against me, although there's no evidence against me. Take that for whatever you think that is.
In the dispute itself, while some of this will be brand new revelations from my experiences in the anti-cheating Twin Galaxies Discord server. Spoiler, things got racist. Yes, this is long for reasons you'll see. So he kind of gives a little bit of hint of some of the things that he saw in there. There were a lot of racist comments made in the Discord server. For obvious reasons, I won't be highlighting a lot of those. I'm not about to get a strike on my channel for hate speech simply for reciting things that other people said. So please keep that in mind. I will be either redacting some stuff or I will be censoring expletives, things of that nature. But anyway, let's go ahead and move forward to the first point here. Now, the first points actually are in regard to Triforce and Empire Arcadia. Yes, there were people who created a Discord server to plot against Triforce and other players who've cheated. But it's not like Triforce is innocent here. Apparently, there are some accusations that were made in the dispute against Triforce that would kind of indicate that he was potentially doing something similar on his end of things. Now, one of these things I've already discussed in a previous video, but I'm going to kind of recap it for anybody who may have missed it. But let's go ahead and let's take a look at some of the things that Triforce did to try and manipulate things in his favor. The first thing we have here is on page 9, former Empire Arcadia teammate Nightshade reported how his wife had been messaged by Triforce asking her to vote on the dispute in his favor. Now, one of the things I kind of want to note before we move forward and actually show what he's referring to, if you look at these dispute threads, like this dispute thread here, there's an option for you to vote. You can vote yes or no on a poll, whether you think a dispute is valid or not. Now, a lot of people seem to think that if you vote yes and the votes towards yes would get the score removed, and that's how this dispute system works. That is not how this dispute system works. The only thing the voting does is move it up in the rankings for a decision by Twin Galaxies. So the more votes something gets in terms of yes, if you get a lot of yes votes, then it's going to bump it up higher in terms of priority for Twin Galaxies. This is basically Twin Galaxies' way of seeing a dispute and saying, hey, a lot of people want to see us bring a resolution to this dispute as soon as possible. We should probably focus on this dispute right now. So it has nothing to do with the final decision. So if you vote yes in favor of the player, or rather no in favor of the player, it's not going to benefit them in terms of their score not being removed. It's simply going to drop them further down in the ranking if the no's outweigh the yeses. So but there was potentially some vote manipulation going on there. And if we look at the actual post here, here's the post from Nightshade. It says, what I can say as an ex-EMP member and possibly looked at as a betrayer by the team is that Triforce talks to all his members to help do his dirty laundry in everything. Now, this is something I've mentioned that I've heard before. A lot of people have told me that Triforce has people do things on his behalf. I don't know if that's true, but it seems kind of odd that we're hearing this from multiple locations. I've heard it from multiple sources. We have this person here who is an ex-member.
I'm going to pause here for a second because I'm listening to this. And as you guys can see on my stream, as I'm streaming this, ex-member Rudy Chavez, or aka Nightshade, messages me and says I sent Robin to go talk to him. This. Let me ask you guys a question. And this is to the Discord, so we're going to pause before we get into this. Who here has been forced by me to do anything? Speak now.
No.
I'm in college, and this is the age of the Me Too movement. So I don't force anybody to do anything. I've never been forced to do anything I don't want to do.
Man, that guy Triforce forced me to be white.
Oh, well, I don't. Okay. So I don't know.
No one here has been forced to do anything because you are a man over the internet who lives in Jamaica and you have no power.
Okay, so I remember distinctly. This is just me. I'm just going over. Tell me where I'm wrong. Please tell me where I'm wrong. Someone I'm going to give this scenario. I'm going to outline the scenario. Mm-hmm. Someone accuses me of cheating and wants my record removed and banned from Twin Galaxies as the head of Empire Arcadia. That would destroy, or that would do a significant amount of damage to our community and to our team. I bring this to you guys as the community. Guys, there is a dispute against me. There's no evidence up to what they're claiming, but they're making this claim and they're voting to make the dispute valid. I share my point of view because, as Twin Galaxies says, we don't have to defend our records. The records were adjudicated in the stands. They're saying I leached, but they have no evidence of me leaching. I expressed this to you guys and saying this is what they're saying, but my record was adjudicated by Twin Galaxies, the former administration, and it is there. And I ask you guys, can you support me against these accusations? Is that manipulation or telling you guys what to do or how to vote?
No.
Anybody here? Please speak up.
Not at all.
No.
Did I?
Even if you did, even if you did tell us to vote, it still doesn't mean anything because it's, you know, we're not your employees. You don't pay us. You know, we're not required to do what you say.
No,
you
no,
can't
but
threaten us with anything, so,
okay, that's what I wanted to get
you
to.
know,
Manipulation.
We have to physically make the choice. Like, it's still our choice. Some of us in here can't even vote to begin with, so that doesn't make a difference.
Oh, okay. So now here's my question. Have I told anyone here who can vote, if you don't vote for me, you're out of EMP?
No.
I heard someone wants to speak. Yeah.
You don't even remove people from EMP that deserve to be removed from EMP.
You're right.
Well, then that's also true. People leave.
about that.
People leave EMP. That's the funny piece. I don't remove people from EMP. People leave EMP. So that's another thing. So when they're accusing me of coming to you guys for support, I don't see what the difference between people speaking on my behalf and defending me in the forums on Twin Galaxies and voting for me versus us talking about what people are doing to me and I'm telling people to go on the forums and get involved. If
You know what I don't understand?
What?
I don't understand, like you have a friend in real life. Like I have, if I have a friend who I've known for years and years and years, or even just a couple months, and someone says crap about them that I know it's not true, in real life, I'm going to defend that person because they're my friend, right? So why do those rules, why are those rules different when it comes to you? Like, people are slandering you and lying. Why is it surprising that we would want to defend you?
So
That's what you do for people you consider your friends, who you know people are, like, that's natural. You want to defend the people that you believe in.
So listen to
I don't
this.
understand why this is
Hold
a
on.
concept.
So here's Nightshade, ex-member Rudy. He hits me up out of nowhere and says, we need to talk. You're telling Robin all the ruckus could be dangerous to her baby. Do you want to talk like men or like, well, you guys can read that. This is getting out of hand. Roll the dice if you want to play this game or stop rolling it to the end. Okay? I'm like, question mark. What are you talking about? What are you trying to do? Robin is giving me the info. Depending what says about me will only bring out something about you. In all fairness, it's your call. First, I have no idea what you are talking about. We spoke the other day. I told you to stop speaking negatively about me, and you requested that I not speak to your wife. We agreed. Now, what is the problem? I don't understand this guy. What is he talking about? What is going on here? I'm going to try to find No, Robin would be sleeping. She's pregnant. It's 1:25 at night. Yeah,
No, she was in the chat. She was in the chat.
she's in the YouTube chat?
Yeah.
Yeah, she messaged somebody
Yeah.
a little while ago.
Yes, Robin, come into the Discord, please.
Yeah, she just messaged in chat. She's like, I'm here.
Tell her come into the Discord.
Rabin.
Fuck Batman, we just need Robin.
Where's Robin?
I'm here.
Oh,
She's here.
okay.
Just letting you know your fan is really annoying on stream.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. So I just spoke. Rudy is messaging me right now, and he's saying that I sent. Let me read it to you because I can't understand what he's.
He sent me a similar message to my messenger, and I was trying to explain to him. I said, contrary to what you believe, Triforce did not send me. Initially, when your whole dispute thread came up,
Yeah.
you contacted every single member and was like, "Hey, these guys are all colluding and trying to manipulate and present a yes vote based on non-evidence." So you told everybody at Empire. Everybody knows you, even our Discord community. But more so, you told the ones who had TG accounts. You basically said, "Hey guys, this is what's going on. If you want, look at the dispute, and if you choose to vote, vote." You was asking for help, but you wasn't forcing us to make a vote.
So how can they call that manipulation? I don't understand. Especially when I'm on the defense. Someone's accusing me of something with no evidence, and I'm coming to people with support. How? I'm confused here. How is that manipulation? I'm not forcing anyone. No one has to do it. Nothing happens to you if you vote, don't vote, or vote against me. So I'm lost here. So anyway, apparently he's saying on let me go back to this thing here.
Are you like I told him to watch the stream too, by the way.
So he's watching the stream. So what is
I hope he is.
Hold on, one thing. I say one thing.
Yeah.
I just like to. I don't want to do this for every single troll that comes in here, but shout out to Mike Bushnell, the dude who slings racial slurs on the Empire KD YouTube. You provide a lot of comedy, my good sir. Continue.
Okay. So if Rudy
So my other question is, because I told them, I said, because and for what it's worth, he's right. He's trying to be sympathetic because I am pregnant and all this jazz, and he don't want to upset me. And I'm like, no, Rudy, you're not upsetting me. I'm just trying to clear up a misunderstanding. You know what I'm saying? And for whatever reason, he's letting his personal feelings, personal beef that he has with you interfere with the facts that he don't have. And I'm trying to break it down to him. So I don't know.
Okay. I don't know what to tell him. Well, if you're listening, Rudy, look, if you had a conversation with Robin today, no, I did not send Robin to come see you or whatever the case may be. As far as I'm concerned, Robin told me she had spoke with you and Kimberly the other day when you requested me not to speak to your wife no more. Your wife is a member of the organization, so you're forcing the situation where, okay, so she's a member of our team, but I'm not allowed to speak to her. Okay, no problem. I came to your wife.
So with me being the captain commander of the Valkyries, since you two are not on speaking terms, it would make sense for
you to speak
of the Valkyries to talk to the other Valkyrie.
So if that conversation, Robin told me you guys were talking. So no, I did not send Robin to do anything. So I don't know where that's even coming from. Regardless of the case, right? Even if I did send Robin, even if I did send her, you yourself said I'm not allowed to speak to your wife. So I would then have to send a messenger. So you're not making any sense here. And I don't like this pseudo threat. You want to play like men. No, I'm not interested in playing with you, period. I'm not interested in acknowledging you, period. I'm not interested in having any issue with you, period. You have your whatever your belief is about Empire. You've even told me myself that I'm controlling these guys, these members in EMP like a tyrant and a dictator, and that's fine. You have a right to your opinion, but you need to stop trying to put it out there like this is a fact. If members of Empire Arcadia have a problem with me because of the way I work the organization or I deal with them like you, they have the right to leave. Nothing holds you here. No gun, no God, no nothing. Nothing holds you here. Now, you've left. I don't understand. If you left, why are you upset? Why are you still talking to me? Oh, I get it. Because I'm contacting your wife. Okay, fine. You said don't speak to your wife. I stopped speaking to you. Why are you contacting me? Stop contacting me. Period. I told you I will not speak to your wife. Game. I don't speak to your wife. You don't speak about me. You don't speak to me. And we can coexist like amicably. What's the problem here? What is the problem? So I don't like this notion that I contacted your wife and tried to manipulate your wife. Okay, if I tried to manipulate your wife, what did I manipulate your wife with? I have to have something. Okay, so manipulation. Did I lie to her? Did I say, hey, listen, these guys are voting against me on my Contra score, and I know something. I'm a cheater, right? So I'm going to give her some type of information to lie, to cover me cheating so that she can vote for me. That's manipulation, okay? But that didn't happen because I'm not a cheater. The score is valid and the dispute is invalid. So, okay, so what did Triforce do to manipulate her? Oh, I get it. Is it I threatened her if she doesn't vote in my favor that I'd kick her out in EMP? Oh, so that's not a, I'm not asking her. That means I would be demanding her. This is coercion. Coercion is coercion. I'm not pronouncing that right. Will require me to. What's the meaning for coercion? How do you spell that? How do you spell coercion, ladies and gentlemen? What?
C-O-H-E-R-S.
C-O-H. Wait, what? C-O-H-E-R-S-O-N. Okay.
S-I-O-N.
No, it's not. There's no H. It's C-O-E-R-C-I-O-N. Coercion. The action or practicing of persuading someone to do something by using force or threats. So you're saying I coerced your wife with what? What did I coerce her for? I'm like, I didn't.
Charming good looks.
Okay, so all right. Let's look up manipulating, right? Because see, I'm not an English major, but manipulating, right? Handling or control. Well, oh, okay. What? Mechanism. In a skillful manner. Altering, editing, or move on a computer. Control or influence a person or situation cleverly and unscrupulously. Okay, so I come to my members, I tell them about what's happening against me. There's a dispute against me by people who want my school removed and they have no evidence. Where in that is me handling it cleverly, or unscrupulously? I'm telling you the absolute truth. Dudes, okay, here's a fact. There's a dispute thread against me and these guys are saying I leached, but I didn't leach. Do they have any evidence of me leaching? No. So I told the truth. So where is the unscrupulous whatever? So this narrative about me manipulating members in EMP to vote in my direction for manipulating votes, dead that foolishness. It's not even, what does Sahil always say? There's a line Sahil always says. It isn't even equal. It's equal. No, not equal equivalency. Sahil, you always says it to me. What is that line that you say? Something about something equivalency. False. It's a false equivalency. There you go. It's a false equivalency. There's a difference between people making a Discord who have...
I said false equivalency.
Oh yeah, false equivalency. There's a difference between me being in my Discord informing my members of my community and my team of a dispute against me, and I'm asking them to go look into dispute, read what these people are saying, and vote based on their action, what they feel based on that information. And it's very easy to vote against that because they don't have any evidence. Versus people creating a Discord about me that have no evidence and they're trying to manufacture evidence. That's manipulation. So
Exactly. That's the difference.
so let's not try to put words on Triforce. In fact, let me see what the rest that Tipster says regarding this, because I'm not feeling how like that. You see, this is what I'm talking about. That means I can't speak. I'm not allowed to speak or do anything, because anything I say, people literally take and change the narrative of it. If I say A, it's like, no, this is what he meant. I'm like, how you know that's what I meant? Do you have any evidence? Can you substantiate that's what I meant? They can never do it. They can never do it. The only time, it's just crazy. Let's just, Robin, is there anything you want to say? Because if Rudy is watching, anything you want to say on stream about him saying I sent you to contact him? Anything you want to say?
And I already said what I had to say.
Okay, so Rudy, if Robin is, well, clearly Robin is speaking to you because you said I sent her and she's talking to you and she said she spoke to you. Anything Robin is talking to you about is between you and Robin. I do not deal with you, and I do not deal with your wife. Your wife, as far as I'm concerned, is a member of Empire Arcadia, and she's a part of the Valkyrie division. As a Valkyrie, the captain commander of the Valkyries is Robin. So if Robin wants to speak to her, she can. If you have a problem with Robin speaking to your wife, please send me a message in an email and tell me you don't want anyone from Empire Arcadia speaking to your wife, and we will terminate your wife from Empire Arcadia. That's your call. Moving on.
Of Empire Arcadia, saying this is
because,
something that happens.
It seemed like that's what he's trying to do.
If anyone's manipulating anyone, it's him manipulating his wife.
Exactly.
Out of here. Like, this is so full. Like, we just had this conversation. You know, we could, you know, it's so funny. Like, this is the pettiness I am talking about. If you, my man, just leave me alone. We clearly don't see eye to eye. You are a member. There's things I did in the organization, how I run my organization. You don't like it. Move on. I have moved on. You don't see me going around talking about you and telling people this and that and blah blah blah. I like how these people in this Discord, this Legion of Doom Discord, who have spoken about you, and in not a very polite manner.
Actually, are you going to expose that tonight, Triforce?
Oh, like in the word of Loaded Lux, we got all night.
So he can see that these fuck asses who he thinks are his friends are not.
Mm-hmm.
I heard Harlem Hospital's giving beds out.
I heard Harlem Hospital's giving beds out, and I'm gonna show him. Cause if you don't know, you gonna learn today. You gonna learn today. Let us continue.
And also, we have video footage in the past in one of my previous videos of Triforce admitting that he has agents in the field that report negative stuff back to him. So it's very possible there is some truth to this, but I'll let you guys kind of observe this and decide for you.
Oh, I was muted. Oh, I said, okay, crap. I muted myself. I said, Robin, that Tipster was talking, but just so I'm gonna repeat what I was saying in the in my conversation. So Tipster is saying he brought up something that I have field members, agents into the field gathering information from me. So there's a problem with this. What company in the world doesn't have fields in the agents that's doing R&D for them? What?
There's a thing called corporate espionage, and as far as I'm concerned, it's not illegal. I've never seen any law that says you can't do it. So.
No. There's rules to corporate espionage. You can't illegally send spies into a private environment to gather information against your competitor. that, if I'm correct, is illegal. But if information is made public, you can get that information if the information is made public. If the information is true, that is also legal. But like, let's say you have a private conversation. Let's say you and I'll give you a wild example. You and a businessman, the businessman for X oil company and the businessman for X solar company are having a business dealing going on, but the guy from the oil company is having sex with the guy from the solar company's wife, and they got into a personal argument about it and whatever, and then you leak that out, and because that's private, that has nothing to do with the business, then that's, well, first of all, this is irrelevant, number two. But if that does damages to another person, especially if it's just if it's not true, then I guess that's what it is. But the point is, like, whatever problem Nightshade, aka Rudy Chavez, has against me, I don't have a problem with Rudy. This is the problem here is that people are making it sound like I have an issue with Nightshade. I don't. Nightshade has an issue with me, and I don't care. I have long since moved on. I want you to take this into consideration, viewers out there. He has left the team 3 times. Think about that. Did I kick him out? No. He left, came back, now he left. If I'm this bad guy that he makes me out to be, why are you keep coming back? I don't understand this.
I think it's because it gives him relevance.
And if I'm this, let's say we're in a bad relationship and you keep coming back. In this relationship, the guy who's quote unquote abusing you is telling you, leave, stay away, this is not good for you. I'm telling you, leave me alone. It is not good. Stay over there. I'm fine. I have no problems. Good luck with you. You have a wife, you have a child. You already know what I said about you. Focus on your family. Take care of your wife and your child. That is your primary responsibility. Why are you concerned with me? I am not important to your life. We've had this personal conversation. Stop allowing outside forces to get in the way of you and your family. The most important thing is your wife and your child. Then you. Everything else is irrelevant. Mind your fucking neck and focus on your wife. I'm gonna leave this situation alone because it's gonna get personal here, and I don't want to get personal. So that's the situation.
Plus, we got an hour-long video.
Yeah, we got an hour-long video.
We have a long way to go.
So yes.
And Tipster reads well.
Is anybody here banned from Tipster's Discord?
I've never been in it.
Yeah, I've never been in Tipster's Discord.
Did anybody here join it and then like randomly like it's not on the sidebar anymore?
Alright, what's the point?
No. It's just like a month ago I joined the Discord. I forgot why, but then I put it like on the bottom of my Discord list, and I was looking for it again because I wanted to check.
Jesus Christ, you're not on it. You're not in the Discord anymore, right?
Yeah.
Okay, what the hell? Why you took them? You know something?
It's a hill.
Phil be saying I'm long-winded. All you have to say is like, I joined this Discord. I'm no longer a part of it. That's it. All right. So okay, but that's got nothing to do. That's a different thing. He probably banned.
Like an hour to go.
Yeah, he probably banned you.
There's a slow talker.
Sahil, you need to understand you have a level of infamy now in regards to EMP. People see the name Sahil, they're like, oh, I know that fucking guy, and they just ban you.
All right. So now going back. So it's already been stated that I didn't send Robin to do anything. Let me see what. Oh, hold on. I'm sorry. I just want to close the chapter on this. I want to see something because I'm just going to let him know. All right. Did he even reply back to me? No, he didn't. I'm going to go check out what John Kinkle said. He dropped a comment. I'm streaming right now.
Triforce.
Yeah.
Triforce.
Yeah.
Check your DM.
All right. So, look, I have gone my way and you have gone your way. Let's leave it at that, please. I'm practically begging you. Just leave me alone. Okay. Get rid of coercion. Go back to Tipster's video. Bam. All right, Robin. Give me a second. What's going on? All right. Let's continue with the anti-cheating thing regarding this or whatever the case may be. All right.
No matter how big or small, when called to it, and it clearly shows here. He
Jagan,
messaged my
you're a
wife
fucking
on
degenerate.
Facebook asking
Oh my God, Sahil, we're streaming, and Tipster's talking.
her to vote for him, and I had her rethink over it since I do feel that he has leached. Not yet me or her have voted on his score. Put down, sorry, the wording's a little bit poor here. Put down till there's solid proof. I think he means that they're not going to vote until they see
There's solid proof.
But he's not getting a free vote from my wife. Sorry, Triforce.
It's not going to happen.
So
Let me pause that now, and I want to show you the funny thing here, right? All records in Twin Galaxies are supposed to be innocent till proven guilty, right? How am I getting a free vote from his wife if I'm innocent? He himself says here in his own letter, he says he messaged my wife on Facebook asking her to vote for him. That's in a long, short end story. That's yes. I asked her to vote for me because I'm innocent, but I did not mislead her. I contacted her, so this is nothing new. She's a member of my team. I informed her of what's going on, like I did with all my team, and I asked everyone to go vote accordingly. But this narrative in where he's trying to make it like I manipulated her, that's nah. He's not manipulating his wife. He's actually, in fact, he's coercing his wife. He's not even manipulating his wife, because he says right here on Facebook and asked her to vote for him, and I had her rethink it. He had her rethink it. So I don't know how that worked. He could have influenced her to think about it before voting, or he forced her. Whatever the case may be, I don't even know if she even voted, to be very honest with me. And I wrote to her because she told me her husband told her about the situation and she's thinking about it. And I said, okay, fine, it's not a problem. If your husband doesn't want you to vote for me, it's okay, it's fine. I have the full conversation, so I'm not even stressing it. Like, I didn't force her, coerce her, manipulate her. This is stretching. This is taking one thing and making it more than what it is. So, Kim, if you're listening, right? No, let me not say that, because you know what someone's going to say? See, Triforce, you're streaming and now you're manipulating her. Do what you want to do. Well, since that's the case, because that's always been what it was. Do what you want to do. Well, if you want to vote, vote. If you don't want to vote, don't vote. If you want to vote against me, vote against me. Either way, it's fine. I said that to you then, and I'm saying it to you now again. Let's go on.
So that's what that was referring to there. He also goes on to point out that then you have to get to the matter of Triforce's direct dealings with Commissioner David Hockset, whose communications were later published by Jace Hall on page 41. Triforce, having been familiar with the prior Todd Rogers and Billy Mitchell's dispute, knows full well that the open dispute process requires evidence to be presented in the open thread for it to be considered. And this is very true. The way that...
Time out. So Tipster, if you listen to this part now where Tipster is like, open evidence has to be disputed. What Tipster's about to make a mistake right here, because he doesn't understand that this is not how it works. Honey, bend that down. Open the top window so the wind can come in, and it's bend it a little bit so some wind can come in. And open up the top one altogether, right? Now, here's where Tipster's about to make a mistake, and I know it before I even watch it. Watch. What Tipster doesn't understand is that whole thing with the evidence thing is meant to the prosecutors, not the defenders. The defender does not need any evidence. This is what they don't understand. I'm going to rewind what Tipster's saying. Watch, because I know what I'm talking about. He's going to say it right now. I'm going to go, no, oops, that's too far back. Right? We're going to go to 31. Listen to what he's about to say regarding the whole dispute thing, and we'll go over it, and I'll point it out to you guys. Watch, listen.
Page 41. Triforce, having been familiar with the prior Todd Rogers and Billy Mitchell's dispute, knows full well that the open dispute process requires evidence to be presented in the open thread for it to be considered. And this is very true. The way the dispute process works is everything has to be public. Now, in this case, Triforce, the player, is not required to present any evidence defending themselves in the thread or anything like that. But if you are going to present evidence, you do have to present it publicly. And here we have a case of Triforce sending multiple emails to David Hockset in the background rather than presenting this information publicly.
That is also a what's the word for this? Misconception of of what's going on. Letters were sent to David Hockset regarding Walter Day's testimony, and that is evidence. And that evidence was posted in the actual dispute thread. Everything else was a conversation between me and David Hockset that had nothing to do with evidence. So I don't have to post it in the dispute thread. The entire purpose of contacting David Hockset is, so this is what Tipster doesn't know. There was a GWARF record for Todd Rogers, right? And in the GWARF record for Todd Rogers, Walter Day had to submit, because Walter Day doesn't go on the Twin Galaxies forums. So the only way to get Walter Day's information on the Twin Galaxies forum is by proxy. Someone has to put it on the Twin Galaxies forums. But Walter does have email. So Walter had to contact David Hockset by email, and then David Hockset had to take Walter Day's conversation out of email and put that on the Twin Galaxies forum. After discussion or whatever, he said, so what is your he asks, I'm just paraphrasing this. He asks Walter Day, what is it that Walter Day's evidence is based on? Of course, there's a conversation. This is called the deliberation. There's a deliberation to come up with your evidence. The deliberation does not have to be posted on the dispute forum. Only the evidence. And in this regard, if the evidence is a testimony, only the testimony is required to be posted there. Deliberation and any other conversation does not need to be told. I could be talking to David Hockset about porn. That's got nothing to do with evidence. That does not have to be in the dispute thread. So if Walter Day has information about that and he wants to post that in the have it posted in the dispute, that goes there. And that's exactly what happened in the Contra 3 thread. Contra 3 thread. Sorry about that. Walter deliberated with David Hockset in terms of how to present his evidence. Walter Day made an official statement and testimony. That official statement and testimony was verified by David Hockset, because if not, I could just write a letter for Walter Day and just said, Walter Day said it. How will you believe me? You won't. Someone has to verify it. That's what David Hockset's job is. That's what it is. But what these guys do, they conflate the situation. That last email that Jace Hall posted between me and David Hockset, that's not evidence. That's me and him having a conversation after the evidence was posted. The evidence is from Walter Day. He gave his first testimony about his administration's handling of the first adjudication, and then he doubled down with a new what's the word for this? It's not an adjudication because Walter Day doesn't work for Twin Galaxies, but he stood by his original determination at the time. So those two things were posted in the forums. In fact, I have an evidence package that I posted in Twin Galaxies that disputes all the issues and then post all the evidence, and that was it. Anything else that we spoke about does not have to be posted in there. That is just between me and David Hockset's opinions and points of views, right? Or whatever is it that you want to call it. So in this particular situation, Tipster, no, it is not meant for me. That is meant for the opposition. It is their job to find empirical, scientific, and conclusive evidence, and they have to post that in the dispute thread. They can't be having secret rooms where they're discussing where they can find the evidence or manufacture the evidence. That is collusion. That is corruption. That is an agenda. There is a big difference. As a defendee, I am immune to all of that stuff because I'm defending I'm on the defense. It's not me. So it doesn't apply to me. So I'm just going to make it sure right there from that point that Tipster, in a sense, because I want to get his full context first. But if he's going based on what I just said, that he's actually wrong. Well, actually, it's not really Tipster. It's really Arats or Ersatz Cats, because it's his post. He's just reading it. But let us go on.
In fact, we can take a look at these emails here. Here's the post by Jace Hall where he officially takes over ownership of the thread. And here we have the emails here. I'm not going to read them because they're very long. But Triforce makes multiple accusations about the credibility and the trustworthiness, rather, of Twin Galaxies, and how he feels like they're not going to make a decision in his favor in this particular email. Then he goes on to state in a following email that he has apparently a suboptimal performance of Contra 3 Alien Wars, where he was able to achieve the score, and he also indicated that he would not present this as evidence. Rather, if Twin Galaxies ruled outside of his favor, then he would show it to prove his innocence. I don't understand the logic behind that. If you're trying to prove your innocence, wouldn't you want to do so before the score was removed rather than after? I mean,
now, this question that Tipster just asked, I state exactly why I want to do that. I wanted to prove that the dispute system was flawed by risking my record to prove it. It literally says it in the email that I was willing to hold that for me, because I wanted to see if Twin Galaxies was going to make a judgment against my score with insufficient evidence to prove the dispute system is flawed. That's why I held it. That's why it's actually still held back even to this day, because I'm waiting for these guys to provide this false evidence. So when they provide the false, I just throw the suboptimal run and like, there you go, Twin Galaxies. I want to prove to Twin Galaxies that anyone can, in this day and age with today's technology, anyone can manufacture evidence. And Twin Galaxies, who the administration is not an expert on these particular games, they're getting their information from outside sources that can manipulate the information. This is why refs back then were so important, along with VCR tape, because refs were the experts who can look and see something and go, nah, that's wrong. What do you mean? With a normal person who have no idea what's going on, the ref can detect it. That is not found in the new Twin Galaxies era. There's no oversight committee to evaluate the evidence and break down the evidence. There isn't. Someone could just present it from, there isn't, based on my opinion. Let me not accuse Twin Galaxies outright and say that there's absolutely no oversight committee. I could be wrong, but based on what I've seen so far in my experience with the modern Twin Galaxies in the last, from August to, last year, in the last year, I don't see an oversight committee. Based on my experience, especially with a very secret, really dark thing that happened in this modern Twin Galaxies era in terms of adjudication. I was like, oh, so there's no oversight committee. Oh, excellent. Okay, no problem. And I document these things for me. It is for my protection. Because there's an invisible war going on and there is an agenda. So let us continue.
None of this matters now, since essentially they ruled in his favor, but it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me as to.
And you're right. Oh, I'm loud, right? Sorry. They may have ruled in my favor, but they have not closed the dispute. So they didn't rule in my favor. They simply suspended the prosecution's what's the word for this? Case against me, because it's still open. Yeah, it's indefinitely still open. So I haven't won anything. This is a false equivalency. I'm gonna love using Sahil's word, or this is a lie, because I haven't won anything. The case is still open.
Why he planned to release this after they chose to remove his score rather than before. That's the logic of Triforce. It is what it is. But yeah, this is what he was referring to there. This is the part of the same rule package that has now allowed his score to stand, yet Triforce chose to submit directly to Dave behind the backs of the public anyway, dismissing the established process by saying he was not these were not his peers. In fact, Triforce puts Dave directly on spot, telling him that this privately submitted evidence is evidence you choose. Okay, so you see here where he says, this is what I'm talking about, how people change the narrative of things.
I never said it was evidence. Twin Galaxies states that I do not need to provide any evidence. I didn't put anyone on the spot. If Twin Galaxies is confident in their system, whether or not I have my own, whatever you want to call it, whether it's evidence or my own video, it is irrelevant. The Twin Galaxies system does not need my evidence to protect my score if it is legitimate. If my score is legitimate, it is legitimate. That is it. It does not require any evidence to prove it's legitimate. It requires evidence to prove it is illegitimate, and that is something Jace Hall has literally reiterated in that very same thread with the message. So I know what I'm talking about. I didn't put anyone on the spot. If anyone put itself anything on the spot, Twin Galaxies put itself on the spot. That's the reality. And so this part about Triforce, I don't owe Twin Galaxies any evidence. Twin Galaxies never requested any evidence from me, and that's a funny thing. Jace Hall himself said Twin Galaxies doesn't request any evidence from the defender either. So if Twin Galaxies didn't request the evidence from me, which is kind of funny because David Hawkset kind of insinuates he's requesting the evidence from me because he says I'm withholding evidence, and I'm not. I'm withholding my video because I want to see what their system produce, and if the system produces something wrong against me. Like, I know I'm not stupid here. I know. Am I stupid, guys? Like, am I making sense or am I an idiot? Please, just be honest. Be honest, guys. Where are y'all? Where are you guys?
We're here, but let's continue with the video, my guy.
No. This is a legitimate question. Am I an idiot? Am I paranoid and being an idiot, or am I being smart here?
In the words of Black Pauldron, he's just an.
Okay. All right. Well, we're actually going to move on from that.
To ignore, thus attempting to implicate him in a conspiracy to collude against the rules and work behind the backs of the TG community. Meanwhile, at 39:41 in this interview with Player Essence, Triforce says it's mind-boggling that anyone would think he was colluding with Twin Galaxies behind anyone's back. It would seem from the public appearances that Dave got in some amount of trouble for these discussions, and Triforce did not. And this is very true because it does seem like after all this went down, this is when Jace Hall kind of took over the thread, and previously Dave Hawkset was taking ownership of that thread and kind of overseeing it. And like I said, they kind of asked Dave to step back, and Jace Hall took over. But in reference to the interview that he was referring to there, this is the interview here. I'll leave a link in the description below with the actual timestamp, exactly where that moment starts, if you guys want to take a look at that for yourselves. Moving on, we have this here. I would be remiss if I didn't make some passing mention of Triforce's paying refs and subsequently changing story. This is something I covered extensively, and I think the most important bit of information that I presented was during my interview with Triforce. Essentially, his story, as we know now, is that he was stating that he had submitted a bunch of tapes to a referee. The referee kindly asked him, hey, could you slow down with the submissions a little bit? I have, time. I need time to spend with my family. I do have a day job I have to do. I do this Twin Galaxies thing, as a volunteer. I don't get paid for this. Triforce says, oh, you don't get paid for this? Well, let me give you a tip, for your time. The ref says they don't think they can take it. And then they go on to ask the head referees. And sure enough, the head referees say, no, you can't take it. And that's the end of it, according to what Triforce is saying now. He attempted to tip a single ref, and it didn't, they wouldn't allow him to do it. But I had footage of him presenting not one example of situations where he tried to tip a ref, but multiple situations in which he claims he tipped a ref. And so I kind of think that contradicts his previous statements, but that's still one of those things that Triforce firmly stands on, this whole, I didn't bribe anyone, I tried to tip someone, they wouldn't let me, and that's that. But I have to be completely honest, I disagree with that statement. I do think some tipping happened and some money exchanged hands at some point.
Whether or not he thinks that, he has the right to have that opinion. But like I told him in a conversation on Twitter, was it Twitter or Discord? I don't know which one, whatever it is. At the end of the day, when Twin Galaxies investigated this situation, they had already concluded that my story, the end story where I fixed my story, because I either, like I said, you call it what you want, over embellished, lied, or misspoke. Any one of those, none of those things happen, because the reality is they know which ref. It's a senior ref. They know which senior ref and they know which head ref, and it was like, nah, he didn't tip anyone. But like I told people before in his prior video, you can think what you want. The reality is I didn't do it. I can act like I'm a murderer and I'm gangster and everything else. Yeah, it's like saying they know who actually shot this person and killed that person serving time in jail. But I go around in the streets telling everyone that I'm the one who actually did it and whatever. Yeah, you're lying, you're over embellishing, you misspoke or whatever it is. But you didn't kill the person because the actual person who did it is in prison unless you have evidence that you did so. People do this all the time. Some people, I call it lying on your manhood. Guy kissed a girl or spent the night over a girl's house and they slept in the same bed together, and then dude goes, yeah, I smashed it, I blew out her back or whatever the case may be. He did no such thing. And then when later on you find out from the girl, she's like, no, I didn't have sex with him, I'm actually still a virgin. And then he's going around still talking about it, and you're like, so yo, you smashed her or not? Because I'm hearing that you actually didn't smash her. She told me. Oh, well, I kind of misspoke on it. I didn't mean, yeah, it happens. Now, you can believe him if you want, or you can't, or you don't have to believe him. But as Twin Galaxy stated, Twin Galaxy says that my story is in line with what actually happened and is credible. And that's actually the end of it. Everybody else just has an opinion moving forward.
Whether his intentions were good or not, that's debatable, but I still stand by my thought process that I think he did, in fact, tip some refs.
And that's
just
fine.
my opinion. It says this was first brought up to the dispute on page 9 with Data God posting Facebook remarks from Patrick Scott Patterson. And if we go here, this is where we can see that. I wanted to know what former referee said about Triforce. The court introduces Patrick Patterson, character witness and former referee. This was a post by Data God as stated by the original blog post we're reading here. You can see these here, and I'm not going to read them now, but I'll leave a link in the description below if you guys want to read it for yourself. But these are basically some statements made by Patrick Scott Patterson that lend, some truth, or rather try to lend some truth or credibility to the claims that Triforce did in fact bribe referees or tip referees, or whatever term you choose to use. Moving on here, let's go ahead and take a look at the ethics section of this. And this is where Meme Troll really gets involved in the situation. Now, I know Meme Troll's really concerned that I'm going to do a video exposing him. I have no interest in exposing Meme Troll. Me and Meme Troll parted ways. He can do whatever he wants to do. I'm going to do whatever I want to do and cover my own things. So, Meme Troll, I'm just telling you right now, I have no interest in exposing you. Truth be told, there's nothing to expose. I said what I had to say about you, and that's pretty much it. But we do have some revelations regarding Meme Troll in this particular post here, and we're going to go ahead and go over those. It goes on to say that the reason Meme Troll succeeded, at least for a while, where other Triforce accusers have to some degree failed, is because Meme Troll didn't play by the rules. He's effectively a nobody as far as online and public personas go. So when it came time for Triforce to discredit him and attack his reputation, there was nothing to attack. And this is very true. Meme Troll essentially came out of nowhere, or Maris, as he chooses to call himself. He essentially came out of nowhere. He's just some guy who, he posted a bunch of memes on his YouTube channel. Nobody really knew who he was. He did a video on Billy Mitchell where he pretty much just kind of recounted a lot of the things that were already said about the Billy Mitchell dispute. It got a lot of views, and I'm assuming that kind of caught his attention. And so when the Triforce thing popped up, he decided he wanted to cover that as well, and hopefully, be able to replicate the success he had with the Billy Mitchell video. And it was a good video. It was a very entertaining video. There was some mistakes made in there, especially in regards to like the Super Mario Brothers Play Choice 10 score. He kind of harped on that score a bit, but he didn't actually read the rules, so he kind of goofed up there, and there were some other mistakes that he made in there, but for the most part it was a good video, and it was an entertaining video to watch. But he's right, he doesn't have a reputation. So one of the tactics that I've seen Triforce use is when he's upset with someone and he wants to discredit them, he goes on the attack and he tries to attack their reputation. But if you don't have a reputation, there's nothing there to attack. So that is a very good point there, and that contributed to the success that Meme Troll had with his initial video, but that's kind of where it ends. He goes on to say that, and when Triforce did a standard YouTube response video, including fair use commentary of Maris's first video, Maris filed a false trademark claim. Again, I've made it very public that I disagree with this move by Maris. Maris stands by the fact that he thinks that that was an appropriate use of the trademark system. It was not. According to Maris's understanding, essentially, if somebody mentions your trademark, we'll use me as an example. Let's say I own the trademark to the name Tipster. If somebody just mentions Tipster in another video, I have the right to file a trademark claim against them. That is not how it works. The way trademark infringement works is if somebody uses your trademark in a way that makes you think they're affiliated with your trademark. That is an infringement of your trademark, and therefore you can file a trademark dispute for that. But if somebody simply mentions your trademark, you can't do that. So this was an unfair and inappropriate use of the trademark dispute system. Anyway, goes on to say this led Triforce to file his own copyright claim in response. During my interview, Triforce claims that he filed the copyright claim by mistake. He meant to file another claim. Honestly, don't know if I believe that, but I'll let you guys decide who you want to believe in that case.
I have to stop there, and I understand Tipster's trying to be impartial in terms of letting people go and decide on their own. That's fine, but it should be obvious. If I did not misfile, then the video would have been taken down. I literally explained in the video with Tipster that I actually did misfile. I even showed him what I was actually trying to go for, which was defamation. So for those who do YouTube and don't know, let me break something down for you guys real short. We'll get back into the story. I just want to put this out there because a lot of people don't know, a lot of people won't know where to go to look to get another point of view before you actually judge. Shout out to whoever subscribed to me. Can't necessarily look right now, which is L Doctor. No, you did not get me. You missed. You did not get me to say it. So yeah, whenever you file any type of dispute on YouTube, it allows you 48 hours to work out your dispute with whoever you're filing your dispute against or who's filing a dispute against you. You have 48 hours to actually work that out. If not, then YouTube looks at the dispute and then it goes on to whatever. I had already removed that claim or dispute, the copyright one, and filed a defamation dispute in under that 48 hours. That's why nothing happened to my video. Then I also went on to inform everybody an update of, I did it on a stream where YouTube defended my video and said they're going to leave it up because they felt I used it in fair use. So that's already out there. That's why there is no lawsuit or any nonsense going on, because there is none. I told YouTube from the beginning, if Meme Troll's video about me stays up, then my video should stay up. If they want me to take mine down, take down Meme Troll. So I am indifferent as to whether it wants to stay up or go down. I don't care. They can take them both down or they keep them both up. It doesn't make a difference to me. I've said what I need to say in my video that exposes all the foolishness and lies there is. So for those who are wondering about that whole filing the wrong copyright, Tipster says he doesn't believe it, and that is fine. There's he has his opinion, and then there's the facts. So just wanted to go over that. So let me get back to this.
While this was a bad look for both of them, Triforce had much more to lose, both in community reputation and in good standings with YouTube. And again, this is very true. It says,
time out. What do you mean community and standings? What? Why do these guys keep thinking like I'm somehow a part of their community I'm a part of the Twin Galaxies community in regards that my members are there from EMP. I could care less about any of the other people there outside of the few personal people that I know from the old Twin Galaxies era, which I speak to on Facebook. All of the new people I do not get involved with. Why do they keep making like, well, Triforce, your reputation with them is being ruined. Being ruined? I didn't know I had a good reputation with the Twin Galaxies community to begin with. It was always bad. What are y'all talking about?
As this trolling, however, was the extent of Maris' success. Maris has made a seemingly never-ending series of poor decisions, basically from the start, In his first video, he used OmniGamer's napkin calculations without permission to claim Triforce's Tetris score was bogus. This later brought undue discredit to OmniGamer and his work when Triforce was able to demonstrate scoring techniques that weren't accounted for. So essentially what it's saying here is that OmniGamer just kind of gave some quick little calculations as to why he thinks potentially Triforce's score may be fraudulent, but this wasn't something that was like concrete evidence. This was just an offhanded remark by OmniGamer. Maris ran with this and he reported it in his video as fact, and it kind of made both OmniGamer and himself look bad, which was not a good move to say the least. It goes on to say, the poor form continued on page 33 of the dispute. User BH_ contributed useful clarifications to the dispute, to which Maris replied, "It's wonderful to see the circle jerkers of EMP here to trash the dispute." Now, if you don't know anything about BH_, during the Billy Mitchell dispute, this guy was a key figure in providing extremely important information to this whole dispute thread in order to, clarify some things that were being misunderstood in the Billy Mitchell dispute. This guy's a valuable asset to the Twin Galaxies community. So when he presents information to this thread and Maris just kind of brushes him off as, "Oh, you're just part of the EMP circle jerk,"
Jonathan,
that
do
is
not do it.
very ill-informed. And it's like totally out of line for Maris to make that judgment call. This is clearly someone who has had no previous involvement with the Twin Galaxies community, doesn't know anybody as a part of this community, doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. And here he goes just assuming that because somebody doesn't agree with what he has to say, suddenly that means, oh, you're just part of the EMP circle jerk. Very ill-informed.
Keep in mind, I don't even know who the hell BH_ is, and he's not a member of EMP, so that's just crazy. But yeah, whatever. Wait. Okay.
To say the least. And if you want to see the original communication here that it was referring to, this is what BH_ had to say. I'll leave a link in the description down below, but he quotes something that Maris Meme says in regards to the final boss section of the Contra 3 score. This is part of what Triforce presented as his claim on how he achieved the score, basically farming the eyeballs on the final boss. And in response, he says this here. This is from BH_. There's nothing inconsistent about these exclamations. He claims to have shot the boss once between the eye cycles using the pea shooter, stretches this out to 100 cycles. Using a stronger gun gives you fewer cycles, even if the boss health stops having after 8 cycles. Without read access to the game memory, a player could have a good faith belief that he was making extremely slow forward progression with this strategy. It works out to approximately 1% per cycle, which agrees with what he said from the beginning. The dispute hinges entirely on whether or not you believe this constitutes leashing. There are 2 ways to look at this. 1, the boss is getting shot at regular intervals, namely between eye cycles. Forward progression occurs. The boss is taking no damage while you're shooting the eyes. Forward progression does not occur. In other words, this dispute over the longest interval allowed between making progress forward. The score should stand if you believe 1, and it should be removed if you believe 2. Finally, under the rules, Triforce doesn't owe anyone an explanation on how he did it. It's unfair to interpret his defenses uncharitably. His character and behavior are irrelevant to the dispute. Take it up with the admins. And
You know what's so funny? I didn't even know that post by BH even exists. I actually didn't know that. I actually did not know that that post exists. I will say this, just so people can just know the dreadedness behind it. BH just explained, literally just explained, a significant part of the video that's still set in private on my YouTube page of my suboptimal run. And now that I know that post exists, if the time should come that I release this video, I'm just going to refer to this post, which will just kill the entire Contra thing. Contra thing should be dead. I don't even know why it still exists, but whatever. But it's kind of funny. If anyone's wondering, BH figured it out. which, as he said, Triforce has been saying this from the very beginning. But the reason why no one got what I was saying in the very beginning is because no one cared what I was saying in the beginning, because in their minds, Triforce cheated. And that's all that mattered. So when I was talking, I was like, but you guys got to listen to me until they didn't even hear any sound. So it doesn't matter if I was talking or telling them anything. They just didn't care because they want to believe I'm a cheater, period. Shout outs to BH for figuring out the whole, you figured out a majority of the strategy. There are things that I don't talk about at all in terms of the strategy that's in the suboptimal video that I just never told anyone because I needed it as my ace in the hole. But shout outs for figuring out the most crucial part. BH, didn't know you even said that. Moving forward.
And this is very true. A lot of people were trying to say that Triforce's claims on forward progression were inaccurate. Then some people would prove that, well, it turns out you can forward progress this way. And then they were like, oh, yeah, but it still takes a really long time, so that's still leeching. It was just a lot of bickering and fighting over what people determined as what is leeching and what is not leeching, what's excessive leeching, what is not excessive leeching. And all this involvement of Triforce's character, it doesn't matter. I mean, there's literally been situations in the community where a score has been granted to someone who's a pedophile, and everybody's kind of in an outrage. How dare you grant a score to a pedophile? But here's the thing, as controversial as this sounds, it doesn't matter if the guy's a pedophile. Can he get the score? And if the answer is yes, then he should have the right to submit that score. Yes, he's a pedophile, and it's fucking disgusting what he's done. Whatever crimes he's committed or whatever in relation to that. But when you're looking at video game high scores, none of that has anything to do with it. It doesn't matter what somebody says or doesn't say, if somebody's a scumbag or if they're not. Can they do the score? Yeah, they can? Okay, then they get the record. It's that simple. So they did mention that Maris kind of brushed off his response, and here it is. He quotes his response here, and he says, oh, so just ignore the states of his defenses. It's wonderful to see the circle jerkers of EMP here to trash the dispute. So he just literally just brushed off this dude as potentially being associated with EMP when nothing could be further from the truth. This is someone who is a very valid member of the Twin Galaxies community. You can look at his credibility score. He's got a pretty high credibility score. And overall, a lot of people trust his word. His word has been used in the past to kind of, help clarify situations in these disputes. And so for Maris to just kind of brush him off as uncredible, that's really fucking stupid, to say the least. Clearly, he doesn't know anything about this community. Anyway, so that was in regards to that situation there. It goes on to say that Maris repeatedly accused Triforce of threatening to swat him, which was completely untrue. Triforce said he intended to call the police to file a complaint against him live on stream, which is an entirely different thing. And to clarify this, when Triforce said he was going to call the police, he didn't say he was going to call the police on Maris at all to begin with. What he said, he was going to call the police on Street Pass Princeton in regards to, some alleged pedophile accusations or whatever. That's a whole another story. I'm going to get Street Pass Princeton on for an interview very soon, and he'll have an opportunity to discuss that himself. But this wasn't even directed at Maris anyways. Then it goes on to say on page 43, Maris suggests that the leaderboard for WiiWare Tetris Party, for which Triforce holds the top score, should be removed entirely for no reason other than that the game can no longer be acquired. And this is just a stupid argument, if you ask me. Let me go ahead and see if I could find the point here where he says that. Have all this stuff ready to go. Here we go. So this is the post by Maris Memes. He says a bunch of stuff, but we want to focus on that point here. He says, also, on a final note, I want to talk about Isaiah's Tetris Party on WiiWare score that has over 100 million once more. How can a game that you can no longer buy from the Nintendo channel, discontinued, be allowed on the site? There's no way to buy WiiWare games anymore. Does TG support pirated games? Must I homebrew my Wii to get a record for the game now? And this is a really stupid argument. I think it's safe to say it's pretty obvious that that track for that game was probably added when the game was still available. So are we suddenly supposed to just forget that those scores even existed just because you can't buy the game anymore. Also, that doesn't mean people don't still have this game in their possession. Can they not submit records now because you say that they can't submit records anymore? Just because you say so, just because you can't buy the game anymore, nobody can submit a score on it any further? This is the most ridiculous argument I have ever heard. Maris has said a bunch of stupid things during the course of this whole situation, and this easily has to be the dumbest thing I've ever seen him say. Let's completely remove all the scores for this game simply because you can't buy it anymore. If you want to take it a step further, you could argue that any retro game shouldn't have a score set on it because you can't buy those anymore either in an official retail capacity. Yeah, you could buy them secondhand, but it's really hard to get them. So why are you allowed to submit a score? Not everyone is going to be able to get their hands on this game. Or what about rare games? Let's talk about games that are extremely rare and valuable and hard to acquire. Let's take a look at something like Little Samson on the NES. Why should someone be allowed to submit a score on Little Samson? Because not everybody can afford to buy this game. Do you see how ridiculous this argument is? Just because something is difficult to acquire doesn't mean you should remove the ability to submit scores on it. This is a really poor argument and just emphasizes how dumb this guy is in regards to the arguments that he makes. So, let's go ahead and move on to the next point. More recently on page 46, Maris outright accuses Jace Hall of accepting a bribe in the ruling on this dispute in Triforce's favor with exactly zero evidence, or would I say even common sense. And this is very true. If we go here, we can find that accusation. Here it is here.
Listen to this, guys.
It says, even after the bribing things come up, even after we disproved everything Triforce said, although you didn't disprove everything Triforce said. Even after many test runs show that excessive leeching is the only way to get 9,999,999, you didn't prove that through testing. There was testing that proved that his method does indeed include forward-moving progression, and it's subjective in terms of what is considered excessive leeching or not, so you didn't prove that. Even after the conflict of interest of having a roommate approve scores, yes, that looks bad, but the question of this dispute wasn't, did a roommate approve this score? The question of the dispute was, did he excessively leech? You have to prove the point that you're making. Even after proving that Walter...
Here's the funny thing. How did anyone prove Lance was my roommate? What the hell? The arc... Alright, this is the funny part, right? The arc is no more. I am homeless. If Lance was my roommate, why wasn't he homeless? Because Lance has his own place. Who told these people Lance was my roommate? I am dumbfounded by this. Even if he was my roommate, how many people in the Twin Galaxies universe are... Actually, you know what's so funny about that? This is so funny about that. Lance has permission to verify my scores by the Twin Galaxies administration. So I don't understand him being my roommate or not being my roommate, him being my friend or not being my friend, or whatever is it that they want to say have anything to do with anything. But moving forward.
Yesterday was not an official referee at TG. What does that have to do with anything? Anyway, Jace didn't say a final word and probably accepted a bribe behind the scenes. TG supports bribes and leeching. I guess for Guinness, I'm going to speedrun.com. Holy shit, you fucking idiot. How fucking stupid do you have to be to believe the bullshit that you utter out of your fucking mouth and have such a high level of entitlement when you were never even part of this community prior than a few months ago? You don't know shit about Twin Galaxies. You had one video that was fucking successful and decided that you wanted to inject yourself into this community and try to become something as a part of this community when you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Move the fuck on, because you're literally just making yourself look like a fucking idiot. Moving on. It goes on to talk...
Yeah, Tipster is actually pissed. I think the capacitors he has these things called stupidity capacitors in his brain. Not because he's stupid. These capacitors, these stupidity capacitors, is what allows his brain to tolerate a certain level of stupidity entering his brain. And if those capacitors, reach beyond an actual threshold, he then gets pissed off. And I think we watched his capacitor. Yeah.
Can you just give him a yes? Just yes.
Yes! He finally got frustrated by his stupidity. Yes. Yes. Because I've been frustrated with that stupidity the moment this moron made a video about me. I already looked at him like, whose mans is this? Like, anyone's claiming for this guy? Because he's an absolute moron. Hold on, we gotta run that back. Hold on, I'm gonna show you guys right where the last stupidity transistor popped. Hold on, let's go back. Hold on, here.
Utter out of your fucking mouth.
Oh wait, it's before that.
Jace didn't say a final word and probably accepted a bribe behind the scenes. TG supports bribes and leeching. I guess for Guinness, I'm going to speedrun.
Here it comes. Here it comes.
Holy shit.
Right there. Right when he said, holy shit, the last stupidity capacitor popped. And then now his brain is unleashed.
You fucking idiot. How fucking stupid do you have to be to believe the bullshit that you utter out of your fucking mouth and have such a high level of entitlement when you were never even part of this community prior than a few months ago? You don't know shit about Twin Galaxies. You had one video that was fucking successful and decided that you wanted to inject yourself into this community and try to become something as a part of this community when you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Move the fuck on, because you're literally just making yourself look like a fucking idiot. Moving on. It goes on to talk about the racism that occurred in the dispute thread, or rather the Discord server. This is where the Discord server comes into play. He does kind of, touch briefly on the point that yes, they were disputing people's scores. They were addressing people who they thought had fake scores. They focused a lot on Triforce, but the big thing he focuses on is apparently there was a lot of racist comments that went on in this Discord server, and he touches on that. He goes on to say, on August 1st, I received a private message through my own Twin Galaxies account sent to me and two other participants in the Contra 3 dispute, sent by a TG user active in the dispute. Now, he does eventually say that the reason why he's not disclosing who sent this stuff and he's not disclosing some people who participated in the server is because he doesn't want to, make a judgment call for those people that they were complicit in the things that were going on the server, the inappropriate stuff that were going on. It's very possible they were just casually invited like he was, and they weren't a part of this bigger conspiracy or this racist banter that was going on. So he doesn't want to disclose people's names who may not have been a part of the shadiness that was going on. He'll let them come forward and speak for themselves on that matter. So if you'll notice, some of this stuff has redacted information. That's why. He says the link was an invite to a Discord server called Anti-Cheating Twin Galaxies. Just by the name alone, it makes it very clear what this was intended to be. This was a dispute system, or like a Discord server, specifically dedicated to exposing who they perceive to be cheaters in Twin Galaxies. Once I accepted the invite, the chat populated by other participants in the dispute critical of Triforce, with yet more dispute participants joining over time. So I stayed and I began participating myself. There was some small amount of talk of which scores of Triforce he likely cheated on, and what other suspected cheaters had standing records in Twin Galaxies, but not a huge amount of that. So there was definitely talk about, hey, these are the scores we think Triforce cheated on. These are the things we think should be disputed. Here's some other players we think should be disputed as well. These are the kind of conversations that this Discord server was started for. Now, there were some other things that went on in there as well that we're going to get into in a second, but this is proof here. This is someone who was on the inside and knows what went on there. This was definitely a server created with the intent of plotting against players that they perceived to be cheaters in the Twin Galaxies database.
Crazy, isn't
He
it?
says, were these people manipulating votes the way Triforce was accused of doing? Again, we want to refer to the voting system. This voting system does not determine if a score is removed. It simply determines whether or not the community wants this score bumped up in terms of importance for Twin Galaxies to review. And so it goes on to say the answer is no, they did not manipulate the scores. A lot of people accuse them of using this Discord server to plot score or vote manipulation, rather. And they did not do that. The answer is no, not that I saw. In fact, Maris at one point ironically confesses that he thinks they're secretly breaking TG rules by having this server to discuss and affect TG matters. When someone points out it's not against the rules to have private chats about TG unless you're going to do things like manipulate the votes. And he goes on to present a screenshot that backs up this conversation. He goes on to say this was an interesting thing. This is something that I didn't immediately know about. This is something I did know about before this article was published, but when I found out about it, I was like, holy shit. Now, basically, I'm going to go ahead and read this, and I'm going to kind of clarify some things for those of you guys who don't know what he's talking about. But he says, interestingly, the head administrator of this Discord server was not affiliated with Twin Galaxies at the time. It wasn't even Maris Memes, whose earliest TG participation came over a week later on August 10th. The head administrator of the anti-cheating Twin Galaxies group was Street Pass Princeton, a non
So, ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, the eviscerated one created the Discord.
Stop smacking, damn it.
The eviscerated one created the Discord.
I'm sorry, who? I don't know who that is.
I don't know if I should blame the community or give credit to his ability to come out of the source wall and the Phantom Zone. Two places I put him in. But yes, the eviscerated ones. Now, the reason why we're going to pause here for a good 2-3 minutes because it's very important to talk about this. This is what I'm talking about in terms of like, let me move this camera down a little bit. This is why I said the eviscerated one was supposed to stay where he is. But some of you wouldn't listen. Some of you joined his new YouTube. Some of you would comment to me on Twitter. Triforce, hey man, I saw the eviscerated one, and you mentioned him. And the evisceration one is like Bloody Mary or Beetlejuice. Say his name 3 times, he appears. You guys gave him the power to break free from the source wall. You gave him the power to come out of the Phantom Zone. And look at the havoc he has caused. Of all people, the eviscerated one, Street Pass Princeton. You know, in my interview with Tipster, I said I was going to pay this guy back. I'm going to have to reevaluate that statement. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Back to the video.
No, before you play it, right? Like literally, this is some shit out of a comic book, like supervillain status type shit. Like
Yep.
tomfoolery, yo.
Most people who meet me, when I tell them about the Invisible War, their first reaction is, Triforce, you are paranoid. Oh, well, Tipsters says, shameless plug, by the way, guys. Street Pass Princeton will be live with him for an interview on Monday. So make sure you guys tune in to Tipster's channel Monday.
Oh, I will be there early.
He will. So yes, members of the ENP community and all those who are watching our YouTube, make sure you subscribe to Tipster. Go check out this man's channel. The Eviscerated One will have an interview. But going back to what I was saying, it's crazy because when I tell people these stories, they go, Triforce, you're making this shit up. This is not possible. And it is only when you see it for yourself, you're like, are you kidding me? This really exists. Yep. Moving forward.
Non-TG member who has a long-standing feud with Triforce. Now, for those of you guys not familiar with this situation, I'll try to sum it up as best as I can, but essentially there's this guy, Street Pass Princeton, on YouTube. He runs a YouTube channel where he goes to conventions and stuff like that. Apparently he was running a Street Pass group called Street Pass Princeton. Him and Triforce became familiar with each other. Triforce was supposed to help him get in touch with people at Nintendo so he could have a good standing relationship with Nintendo. Things didn't work out. Triforce at one point got stuck in France. Princeton loaned him the money to get a flight back to America, and Triforce still owes him that money, and there's a long-going dispute over that. There's a dispute as to whether Triforce called Princeton a pedophile on a live stream. It's a big thing. The information's out there if you want to find it, but these guys have a long-going dispute, and like this post says here, he wasn't a member of Twin Galaxies. He's simply a guy who has, you know, a prior feud with Triforce, and so we have not one, but now two people who have no history with Twin Galaxies whatsoever involving themselves in a situation involving Twin Galaxies. Really interesting predicament, to say the least. He goes on to clarify some of the things, the comments on racism. This is where he starts to realize some things that he doesn't agree with, and this is the reason why this person left the Discord server, because he didn't like the racism and the racist comments going on in the Discord server that he saw. He says they were going to have a live stream where they have like an open mic discussion regarding the whole situation. And in this live stream, which Maris was going to be hosting, Maris asked people to refrain from making racist comments in the stream, specifically because such comments could be grounds for YouTube to remove the video. That particular qualifier is unusual. Why wouldn't you want to avoid racist comments strictly because they are racist comments? And that's a good point. Like, you shouldn't have to mention to someone, hey, on my live stream, could you not be racist, please? Because racism isn't cool. Rather, he just says, oh, don't leave the racist comments because, you know, I can get banned on YouTube for that, or I can have the video taken down on YouTube for that. He goes on to say, but the next qualifier was even more unusual. Maris felt the need directly to clarify that, yes, racist comments didn't bother him at all, but that his prohibition of the racist comments was strictly about the YouTube policy and about nothing else. Now, I want to say that it's very clear to me that the writer here is trying to imply that he thinks Maris Memes, aka Meme Troll, is a racist. I'm not going to slap that label on him. We'll continue reading. You guys can judge that for yourself. I don't like the idea of slapping labels on people. I'll give you an example. When PewDiePie accidentally said the N-word on a stream, a lot of people were quick to call him a racist for that. I disagree. I don't think that you can simply label someone a racist because they accidentally used a word on a live stream. There's a lot more that goes into racism than just uttering words. So I don't like the idea of slapping a label on someone just because you perceive them to be something that they may not actually be. I think it requires more evidence to label someone a racist. That's just my opinion. You guys are free to disagree if you like. But anyway, that is a point that this person is clearly trying to make. I'll let you guys decide for yourself. He goes on to say that TG Outcast and self-proclaimed console player of the century, Rudy J. Ferretti, was soon invited into the Discord. Several months ago, Rudy was banned from the social component of Twin Galaxies for various abusive behaviors, the extent of which, I won't get into here. And yes, Rudy did violate several rules on the Twin Galaxies forums, and as such, he's not able to participate in social engagements on the forums. Now, Rudy and I, we have a bit of history ourselves. This guy is something else. We go way back to when I was still a part of the Twin Galaxy community back in 2013. Back then, I didn't really like the direction that Twin Galaxies was going, so I posted a video on my YouTube channel stating that I thought Twin Galaxies was really going downhill. I guess Rudy saw this video because he reached out to me on Facebook and told me, hey, I'd really like to do an interview with you and we can both kind of trash Twin Galaxies together. And I was like, I don't like the direction they're going. I don't really like what they're doing, but I still like the idea of Twin Galaxies, so I'm not really into the idea of full-on trashing Twin Galaxies. And then he full-on flipped from nice guy, just inquiring for an interview, to full 180 fucking douchebag who wanted to shit on me, talk shit about my wife and her disability, and even go as far as to challenge me to a fight. There's a local video game store, which I will not mention because I do not want them to be associated with this event. Truth be told, I don't even think they know that when I showed up that day, this was happening. But essentially, this guy, Rudy, challenged me to a fight. Rudy J. Ferretti challenged me to a fight. He literally...
Hold on a second, guys. The donation is coming in. Thank you, Dust, for the $5 donation. I appreciate that. Can I ask you guys, in fact, that $5 donation is perfect timing. I gotta use the bathroom. Let me hold right there. I'll be right back. God damn, I've been holding this for a long time.
Oh my god, you pleb. So how's everyone doing so far?
Well, right now I'm reading Data God's comments on Tipster's video, and
Yo.
okay, so in my experience with dealing with people on the internet, I'm just confused as to why this man even bothered to comment and ask what he's being exposed in relation to. I just think
Data God is a character.
Listen, I was reading Data God's comments to Triforce before the stream started because he asked me to, and then I started like arguing against it, and he stopped me and he said, Anna, why are you gonna try to argue with this stupidity? And I was like, you know what, you're right, it's not gonna get anywhere, it's just this endless black hole spiraling downwards into frustration.
I'm just saying there's obvious admission to guilt here. He's preemptively disassociating himself with any racism that went on there, but he was there.
Yeah.
And we know who he is. We know what his reputation is, and he's been very vocal about what his purpose is. So I don't even know why he's bothering.
All right, so
you can't logic this stupid. Pauldron doesn't work.
Well, what happened? What happened?
I was just reading that she asked how everybody was doing so far, and at this point I'm reading some of the comments in Tipster's video.
Yeah.
And I see Data God at the top, and I'm thinking to myself, why did he say anything?
What did Data God say?
Okay. The first question he asks is, why am I in the beginning of your video? How am I being exposed? And then it goes down. If you scroll down past the little thread he's in, which is where he spouts a bunch of nonsense. He starts disassociating himself and accepting himself of any racist activity, which is completely futile in this whole topic here. He would have done better to just not say anything.
No.
Well, Pauldron, he's dumb. And we know this because.
Well, no, it's not that he's dumb. He's making the conscious effort here to admit what he did, but disassociate himself from any other perceptions of him.
Well, okay, all right. Here's the thing, right? Because although I'm watching this video for the first time, I want to say something. I said it in the beginning, so for those who just came in, on this YouTube, this an analytical breakdown of Tipster's recent masterpiece.
You're copying my format. You owe me money.
Okay. I want to say this first and foremost. The information here that Tipster is exposing is the tip of the iceberg. A portion of it. I have the other portion of the tip, which will be released at a later date. This is the beginning. Hold on, someone donated again? Oh, $1 from Dust. That was pretty quick. You didn't wash your hands. I did so wash my hands, okay? It doesn't require a lot to put, what do you call it again? Sasha's sleeping. It doesn't require a lot to literally put liquid soap in your hand, rub it, and rinse it off underwater, okay? So, and I don't use my fingers or my hands to hold my manhood. It requires literally my arms. Anyway, moving forward.
Wait.
Ignore me, I'm being stupid. Let's go forward.
Jay and black soap.
Let's move forward, guys. Okay. I'm gonna let him. I'm gonna let Tips continue where he left off. Wait, what the heck? I pressed start. Why is it not going?
He told me,
okay,
meet me at this game store, and I will beat the shit out of you.
What?
So I told him, okay, I'll be there. And I showed up. I showed up early. I showed up for the opening of the store. I literally was there when the owner of the store opened up the door. I hung out there all day, just kind of chatted with him, played some video games, just hung out the whole day. I was there so long, I literally left when the store owner closed up shop that day and we had dinner together. Guess who didn't show up? Rudy J. Ferretti. This guy is a total fucking numbnuts. Granted, I didn't know that this guy was a gun-toting numbnuts at the time. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have gone to this meeting that he asked me to be at. But the fact of the matter is, he invited me to fight at a game store. I showed up. He didn't. So, you take that for what you will. Truth be told, the only reason why I showed up is because I didn't actually think he was going to show. It's not.
Now, for you guys wondering if Rudy Ferretti has a gun, yes, he does. So, this is a guy who invites people to fights, banned from Twin Galaxies for a whole bunch of other crazy stuff. It's publicly known in the community he's a racist. Well, I know this for a fact because I have his racist comments. So I literally have it. And he carries a gun. So, in light of like the stuff going on in the gaming world with the recent tragedy in the gaming world, in my opinion, this is one of them psycho. Moving forward.
Not like I went there with the intention of fighting the dude. I mean, don't get me wrong, if he actually showed up and he wanted to start shit, like I'm not just going to sit there and take the punches, but I had a feeling he wasn't going to show up. I had a feeling he was all talk and no action, so that's why I showed up. But anyway, this is the kind of guy that Rudy J. Ferretti is. It says, Rudy, well, he didn't hold back his thoughts about Triforce or about people of color in general, as you can see here. Now, he leaves some screenshots. I'm not going to hover over them screenshots too long because I don't want this to get flagged, but there are some direct links here to the screenshots. I'll leave them in the description down below if you want to check those out. But he goes on to say many of the words Rudy uses in those comments.
Now, I'm going to give everyone an opportunity here, right? Because this is an analytical breakdown. We have about 20 more minutes of this video left. 20 more minutes is going to equal to about roughly 40 minutes to an hour on our side. And I know some of you guys are really interested in seeing some of the racist stuff that Mr. Rudy Ferretti said, player of the century. So here's an opportunity where you guys can go to Tipster's channel, right? Literally on Google, type in Tipster. You're going to see a guy holding the two NES zappers. You click it, hold up. You go into the newest video that he just put out there, and you can go into the description section of that video, and you can click that link itself.
Can we put the link for his video in the chat so they can just go to it?
Unfortunately, oh, you guys got the link? Yes. Anyone who has who's a moderator who has a link, please put it in the chat. This will help you guys. I was trying to get people to go to Tipster's page. He is giving us the right to stream his video.
When you did that, you goddamn Nick.
So I was trying to get people to go to Tipster's channel and subscribe and stuff like that. You know, because he's allowing us to use his content to analyze it or whatever. But yes, you can put that link in the chat so people can actually.
There it is.
Yes, so there you guys go, and you can read some of the racist stuff that this guy says. You know, so I don't have to sound. No, not sound. I'm reading the chat now. I don't have to you know, go over this whole stuff. So let us go back, right, and let's finish seeing what Tipster is saying about this, right?
Have racist connotations and are undeniably racist when in the context they're used. There's no reason other than race to refer to a video game competitor like Triforce as a thug here multiple times. Islamic, as Rudy refers to Jace Hall, is a general stand-in for brown people. House anything is immediately suspect given the historically derogatory terms like house boy or house N-word, and different spelling of N-word must be the laziest coded epitaph I've ever seen. So we have Rudy J. Ferretti uttering multiple racist slurs or racist coded messages in the Discord, and he's just kind of allowed to do so with no interference whatsoever. With racists like Rudy, you need not even read into coded language. What do crime statistics have to do with Triforce? Why is Triforce an example of why Rudy doesn't trust them? Why is Patrick Scott Patterson a white version of Triforce? Why is Rudy suddenly lashing out at Black Lives Matter? And these are all things that happen in the Discord server. And really, what do crime statistics and Black Lives Matter have to do with video game high scores? Nothing at all. And he goes on to clarify that these were not jokes among friends because they weren't even jokes at all. When I saw the first comments come up, honestly, I didn't even react other than to roll my eyes. He goes on to say, I figured the moderators would obviously put a quick stop to this as I would have in their place, but they didn't. It was ignored by the individuals running the Discord. In fact, there at the end, Maris sort of laughs it off. I didn't even leave until sometime after that last screenshot when I realized there really actually was nothing being done about it. So that's why the person left the Discord and decided to expose it. He saw a lot of this racist comments being thrown around and all that stuff. He didn't agree with that stuff. He stayed for a while in hope that the administrators and the moderators would take care of it. None of them addressed it at all. And so because of that, he decided, fuck this, I'm out of here, and I'm going to expose these fucks. And that is exactly what he did. So then he goes on to say, this brings us to the question of other people in the Discord. There were many members of TG present. From what I understand, there were members of TG in terms of the community and also TG administrators potentially in this server.
Whoa. Whoa. I said, hey, yo.
Mm-hmm.
Did my man just said that there were TG members, which is the community, because whenever we refer to Twin Galaxies in these little disputes, unless we say Jace Hall or Twin Galaxies admin, we're only referring to the community, because Twin Galaxies administration is separate from the community. But did I hear him say that there were potentially Twin Galaxies administrators in there? Let me rewind. Hold up.
No, why'd you have to?
That is exactly what he did.
Hold on, we listening.
So then
Hold
he
on.
goes on to say, this brings us to the question of other people in the Discord. There were many members of TG present. From what I understand, there were members of TG in terms of the community and also TG administrators potentially in this server. Each themselves participants in the dispute thread, whom I have chosen not to identify, not even privately, to YouTube journalist Tipster, with whom I shared these screenshots with days ago. And he did...
1 second. Yeah. Hold on.
Apparently, someone in the voice chat is saying that they're Rudy Chavez and they want to talk freely in the comments.
What was the rules in the beginning of the stream? You're allowed
Dude, I
to.
didn't catch the first like 5 minutes.
Oh, you didn't? Oh, you're free to speak of however you want, as long as you don't detract from what this is about. So if Rudy wants to speak to you guys in the YouTube chat, let him talk. Hold on for a second.
Right.
I want to go back. I think I missed it again. Hold up. Okay, we're gonna go back now. Let's go.
TG in terms of the community and also TG administrators potentially in this server.
Wow. So he did say TG members administrate. Wait, hold on. Did he say TG members or TG administrators? Oh, wait a minute. Go back. 35. There we go. Let's go. One more time.
TG in terms of the community and also TG administrators potentially in this server. Each themselves participants in the dispute thread, whom I have chosen not to identify, not even privately, to YouTube journalist Tipster, with whom I shared these screenshots with days ago. And he did share the screenshots with me. I got the exact same screenshots he's sharing publicly. He redacted people's names, things like that. The reason is because I don't want to unfairly implicate or incriminate anyone. Perhaps others were just as uncomfortable with these goings on as I was. Perhaps they left in disgust just as I did. A passive observer on the other end may just as likely have thought my presence meant I approved of this nonsense, and this is very true. The other people involved in this Discord can speak for themselves if they wish. It's not my place nor my job to speak for them. As said, Princeton was the head administrator and did participate in the chat.